Good afternoon, everyone. Before I get started, I actually wanted to thank the Exchange-wide team. It's been a cracking event. It's been a pleasure to be here, and with that, I will start talking about data and decentralization. Ta-da. So I'm Ben Putley. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Alkimi, and I'm sure some of you don't know what Alkimi is, but really what it is blockchain infrastructure that provides a more efficient and transparent means of serving ads. Kind of simple as that, really. And today, what I'm going to talk to you about is kind of the journey that we're currently on to move to Web3, what Web3 will really then do for ad tech, and just some examples of Web3 marketing happening now. We are looking to the future, but this is definitely already occurring in a big way in the space. So the path to Web3, I mean, this is pretty cool. So this is the internet. We kind of started many years ago with the internet's greatest hits, hypertext markup language, URLs, HTTP, which really connected databases around the world for the first time in a read-only means. There was access to information that people had never had before that they could get through a computer screen. But as you can see here, it didn't look like the internet we know today looks like. And that's really where we had Web3 come to the scene. So you have Web2 really was this expansion of the application layer. So the ability for you and I to interact with a website really in any way. I mean, you can do virtually anything online now. You can book a taxi home, you can buy your goods, you can just not leave your house, as we all demonstrated for 2 years. And that was sat on top of the protocol layer, kind of what was born in Web 1, the ability to transfer information from database to database. So when we look at what's happened in Web 2, you had kind of the mobile era, the decade of the year of the mobile, as everyone kind of has always said, and you had applications on desktop that made a lot more sense all of a sudden on a mobile device. Like a messenger app makes way more sense if you can have it in your pocket everywhere you go. And kind of from AOL, WhatsApp was born, and then you saw huge advancements in camera technology on mobile devices, which then allowed companies like Instagram to exist, like snapping photos, sharing them with your friends, all from your pocket, really. And Web 2 and mobile were kind of a match made in heaven. And that kind of brought about our preferences, really. So Web 2, mobiles allowed these behemoths to exist, like Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, these huge Web 2 companies that really have formed like the last 10 years of the internet. And one in particular is Spotify. I have a very strange existential fear is that if Spotify ever goes down, I'll lose all of my angsty playlists from when I was a teenager, the ones that I like now, and therefore Spotify's USP is my preferences, whether it's my playlists, the albums, whatever it may be. Actually a better user experience might be able to extricate those preferences, and maybe I use Tidal for my favorite albums in super high quality because I play them at home, and Spotify for the majority of my listening, and maybe SoundCloud for DJ sets that I won't get. So by able to kind of bring your preferences out of a centralized database and kind of manage them ourselves, we really can take control of what's going on in Web3, and that's the difference here. So you still have that application layer, you still have your likes, your tweets, your posts, your e-commerce, whatever it may be, but now with Web3 and a blockchain, you have a much thicker protocol layer. So you're able to make payments directly to another party through peer-to-peer payment systems. You can prove ownership of certain items, and really just find a better means of transferring data. So it's not something to be scared of, Web3. It's actually going to be amazing. It means that you and I as internet users can actually interact with other internet users without having to go through one kind of centrally regulated database, which definitely has its benefits in terms of adoption, but then also has its negatives in terms of data security and privacy. That's why we have the GDPR, that's why we have CCPA, because of abuses of power from people that sat on a lot of data. So what does that really mean for ad tech? I think kind of the key point I want to bring across here is just that idea of preferences. Consent management platforms, that is your preferences on whether you want to see an ad or not, and kind of really helping it return this intended value exchange on the internet. You and I visit a website, a publisher surfaces us as a piece of information to an advertiser. If we tick the advertiser's boxes, they will deliver us an ad. But actually what really has happened is everyone's kind of taken it a bit too far. Like you see a lot of ads online, which diminishes the user experience. I may not return to a particular website, which then in turn means that a publisher has to work harder to make more money. They have to serve more ads online. Ad performance then decreases for advertisers. There's more chance for fraud to enter the system. It really has kind of got a little bit out of control, which is, again, why regulators came in. So you can't continue to behave in the way you were. We've got to put a stop to this, really. And when even you look at the existing supply chain, you can kind of see here, you have advertisers, DSPs, you have ad exchanges that sit in between, the SSP, the publisher, and then other services you might layer on, targeting, verification, you name it, really. And what this kind of says to me is there's a lot of opportunity for discrepancies between different servers as you hop to hop to hop. There's a lot of fees that are added on here. I mean, it's been said a number of times that you lose 30 to 50 cents of your dollar if you're an advertiser looking to spend, and kind of makes sense when you look at a picture like this. There's a lot of hops, but there's no real one source of truth. Like there's reconciliation that happens at the end of every month, every quarter, where you're matching invoices to determine what happened where, really. So the way we think about it in kind of the Web3 sense is that there will be one singular source of truth where all of the transactions that have taken place within a particular marketplace are notarized. So you now, as a user, arrive at your favorite website. There are people within the marketplace themselves. So you have DSPs, SSPs, media owners, kind of all of the participants, and now writing everything that took place onto one ledger. So you finally have this one single source of truth. And you solve a lot of the issues that are kind of ripe in ad tech at the moment and advertising in general. So yeah, to really kind of drive this home, I just wanted to talk about some of the marketing, Web3 marketing that's happened now. Last year, kind of blockchain or crypto had its cultural moment. We had NFTs arrive all of a sudden, and if you've not seen these before, you have at the bottom there the CryptoPunks, which were the first ever NFT project. They created a standard by which NFTs could be created. Doodles and then Bored Apes have all been very successful projects, and these were brands that were born in Web3. They've used new ways to market. They've used Telegram, they've used Twitter, they've used Discord to build communities that brands haven't really done in the same way. I think about brand messaging right now as kind of a one-way street and another way street, So whereas what we find in the blockchain world is that people want to represent their brand. They want to be the Bored Ape admin in the Discord channel, And if we apply that to traditional Web 2 brands, that kind of creates an entirely new means for a brand to interact with the user, for users to interact with their brand in a way they haven't been able to before, and just kind of usher in this sense of community. But this has been happening before. I mean, I think I said this at the last ATS, maybe I should get some more content, but one of my favorite kind of Web 2 advertisers that has really nailed the Web 3 way of thinking is Fortnite. You have kids that spend a lot of money on their outfits, even as much as buying Balenciaga clothes for their character online. You kind of care more about their online persona than they do offline, And this essentially, for all intents and purposes, is an NFT that's blocked inside of one walled garden, as it were, the Fortnite data play marketplace. But we've already seen, Gucci are now kind of looking at Web3 marketing, Nike are looking at Web3 marketing, Adidas are in Web3 marketing, Prada are in Web3 marketing, some of the biggest brands in the world are now looking at this as a way to capture this new cohort of individuals that have grown up in Fortnite and have value in items that may not exist in the real world, but in a metaverse or a virtual reality, to really capture their interest, meet them where they are, and kind of support their next kind of buyers of their brand for the foreseeable future. And that's going to where kind of the Web 2, Web 3 debate in terms of actually marketplaces, like where is this going to happen? Like if you look at Web 2 numbers from Meta, they want to take half of your dollar, which sounds about right. It's a bit of projection perhaps from what they do as well. But Web 3 is significantly cheaper. Like OpenSea, one of the largest platforms, has 2.5% fees. LooksRare, a competitor, has 2% fees. And that's really what we want to bring. Alkimi will have significantly lower fees because we can take advantage of this new infrastructure. You can have people interacting with a protocol layer, businesses interacting with a protocol layer, significantly lower reliance on centralized servers because of the beauty of decentralizing the bandwidth, and really provide a much more effective, transparent product for advertisers, publishers, and kind of us as internet users. So yeah, I guess to summarize, we are on a path to Web 3. It kind of was kicked off in Web 1 many years ago, and it's going to make significant impact on transparency and efficiency in ad tech marketing. And yeah, Web3 marketing is happening now already. I'm sure Kieran's going to come and give me some heat for talking about NFTs, but I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry, mate.
That's the daughter's Christmas present gone.
Yeah.
So this is great because obviously this is a whole part of a new marketing piece that a lot of people would love to get known. It's shredded in a lot of bullshit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But actually, that was a brilliant walkthrough, and thank you for that. I just want to talk about the technology you're building right now, right? Because obviously you're very conscious of the real world piece, and you know one of the applications of the tech is about take rate, right? That's a huge issue in ad tech. I mean, is that when you sort of push that into the market, is that where you're seeing a lot of take up by publishers who are going, yeah, okay, I can actually see what's been taken here, rather than the sort of like black box sabotage?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, we've designed Alkimi to kind of meet the market where it is. We use OpenRTB, we can integrate via pre-bid, you know, like it's very, very different on the back end, but feels very similar on the front end. And the difference being, because we use a distributed network of nodes, we have much less of a reliance on single centralized servers. We can have fees that are 1.5% instead of 15%. You know, that as simple as that. It's kind of return more value to the people creating value, which are advertisers, publishers, ad tech businesses. You know, like we're not here to, I guess, like fight with anyone. We work with everyone and just provide a more effective means of trading ads. Essentially, we can work with anyone to.
And you can integrate via the by pre-bid. Is that
exactly?
So,
yeah.
So
yeah.
You can integrate with other parts of the ad tech ecosystem. So it's
Absolutely.
not necessary, because there are probably people in the room going, oh, I don't really get this, what's going on? But the reality is your tech is actually looking at cheaper infrastructure, about execution, right? And it's worth having to talk to Ben about this later on. But you are actually integrating with DSPs, with publisher ad servers, and that's kind of how you're making it work.
Yeah, I think just like with any new technology, you know, like when Visa came out, like I don't really understand how Visa works, but I use it every day, you know, and I think we just want to make sure that it matches people's behavior now and how you trade ads, because I think there's been crypto companies in the past that have come to advertising and I think like, we've got a new way of doing it, your way sucks, you know, but it doesn't. You know, there's billions and billions of dollars spent in the normal way. Like, you have to respect the way it's going on, and I really like kind of talk and educate people on the benefits of it. And yeah, move into this Web3 world. You know, it's happening, and it's kind of got to get on the train.
But it's also important to realize that you're not transacting like you're actually pushing real money from one person to another. So it's important to highlight the fact it's the infrastructure that you build with this, which is quite interesting, because blockchain's obviously got, you know, there's a lot of noise around it. Yeah. There's a lot of bad actors in it, man. You know, there's lots of scams. But the actual technology itself is fascinating. From building sort of utility stuff and applying it to ad tech makes a lot of sense, because, as you said, that transaction of money disappears, and we are in a situation where, you know, you have members of trade bodies who are setting up their own sort of auditing piece because they don't trust ad tech. Yeah. Which is incredible, really. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're productizing auditing because we don't trust the people who actually execute the campaigns.
Yeah, and I think the point around scams in crypto is interesting because people get caught, you know, like there's a project recently, Terra Luna, it went badly, but they know where the CEO sent the money, to which accounts, when, at what time, and people on Twitter generally solve these cases before the SEC, you know, and that level of accountability, I think, is what everyone is wanting, what the industry needs, because yeah, if we can all do good, we'll create more of a generative economic model rather than extricative, which I think we sit in right now, where if we all add value, that rising tide should effectively raise all ships. You know, it's like it's proven in other markets.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to wrap up because we have another panel here. But I do say at lunch, come and talk to Ben, because it's a fascinating world. It really is. It's a new area for innovation around our space, which can work with the existing ecosystem, which is great. So Ben, thank you for the presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
That was a great walkthrough, and thank you for the Q&A. So round of applause for Ben, please.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.